Welcome back, everybody, to the Energy Connect studio, coming to you from ADIPEC 2025. Here's my exclusive conversation with Context Labs. Take a listen. Chris, it's great to see you. Thank you for talking to me today.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me more about what you do and how trust is really the cornerstone of your business.
Sure. Well, we're a software company, and of course, software processes data. And we're obsessed with one's ability to trust the data so that one can process it more and deploy AI against data that you can trust. Whether it's AI or analytics, garbage in, garbage out. And if we're going to look to automate more systems and trust those systems more, we've got to trust the data that we're running through the systems. The way we do that is essentially with three primary, but not sole purposes. One is we've got a purpose-built system that truly understands the physical and digital parts of energy and power chains. It was built from the bottom up to understand pumps and valves and compressors. It was built to understand and recognize the data that comes out of those digital systems, the PNIDs, the SCADA systems, that alphabet soup of systems with a zoo of ontologies and languages. The system was natively built to understand that. So there's a radical reduction or elimination of possible misinterpretation, first. Second, we use national security grade data security and data integrity services. We built them ourselves, they're highly efficient, so we can run them in the background persistently and not introduce significant latency or overhead in the system. It's kind of like saying we trust nothing ever, so we test everything always. And then last but not least is we've built ontologies, which is another way of saying semantics or intelligence or knowledge graphs on top of that super secure data that was built in this environment that was made for energy and power chains. So many levels of services with the intent from day one to be the digital characterization of this part of the physical world, to create intelligence with people and systems, and ultimately be part of that pathway where AI makes more decisions in those trusted environments. That's primarily how we do it.
Drilling down deeper into your immutably data fabric, how does it work in practice and what impact are you seeing it have for companies?
The first and most important impact is we're starting to get different teams internally inside the companies to understand what data they have, and then to understand how they can use that data if they can trust it. The single most important thing we're doing is getting the physical world subject matter experts in those mission critical systems that are highly regulated and extremely dangerous to trust the data about emissions so they can start to see the insights, believe the insights, and act on them first. And then when we get that trust built up, you can start to see alerts or alarms be issued from emissions analytics, and the response can be near real time or real time, change the way you're working because the emissions are not. And the second and final part of that is beyond response is prediction. We're working with a lot of our clients to see emissions as the canary in the coal mine, as the signal that something's not quite right. So if we have the trust in the data, then we have the belief in the analytics, we'll have action on the insights, and then we'll actually be able to support their work to decarbonize.
You described your data as asset grade. What does that mean, and why is it so important for credible carbon management?
So it's a cute term, we like it, but it's a way to summarize all that we just talked about. This data has gone through so many tests. It's not just data anymore. It is a new class of asset that the enterprise can claim as its own and use as it sees fit. And the reason why we have coined it asset grade is because that asset can be disclosed, it can be exploited, it can be used in many different contexts. Here's the point. Data that's not been tested tends to be very brittle. It's application specific, it's use case specific, it's context specific. Well, change the use case, change the context, change the application, and no one can trust the data. What we've done is create a portability and an agility in the data that enables all of our customers to move into or out of markets based on regulatory requirements, based on pricing implications of emissions, and it gives them stability with agility that just doesn't come from other systems.
How is your AI-enabled carbon platform allowing companies to move from just reporting emissions to actually reducing them?
First, AI is a big term. And what we do is we try to put a number of very specific AI routines or services or agents in the right places in the workflows. The first place is in testing the data. You can't have a human look at petabytes of data I mean, there are 4 or 5 petabytes of data come off a fully instrumented wellhead every day. So you need to have digital systems that have the intelligence to be able to recognize, interpret, and sign off on the data. That's one way we're deploying AI. The second way is when you have all of these different regulations and all these different opportunities to exploit or use your emissions or carbon data, you've got to make sure that the data maps to the methodology. And the methodology calls for data. I need these 15 data sets. I need them 25 times a day. If you can't produce the 15 data sets 25 times a day, you're not going to meet the methodology, you're not going to get the certification on the standard, and here's the key, you're not going to get paid. So at the end of the day, we're deploying the AI in a way to enable more decisions to be made faster, with lower risk, greater trust, and ultimately, see the work done in the physical world and be the digital bridge to the financial world. So whether it's the data, the analytics, or the products that we're producing to prove the performance, AI is used judiciously, it's used efficiently, and so far, effectively.
Carbon data integrity is increasingly coming under global scrutiny. How can your company help zoom out and increase transparency more than anything else?
Well, you just said the key word, transparency. But the question is, what are you being transparent about or with? So all that we just talked about, data integrity, means that there's a foundational layer of components of proof that you can use in your disclosures to become more transparent, part one. Part two is, we're not a methodology house. We don't set the standards, we don't monitor or manage the standards, we interpret those standards, we digitalize those standards, and we make sure that what our customers do digitally meets or exceeds those standards, those methodologies, and those certification requirements. And then third and last but not least, we participate with clients in taking elements of what we build together and put them in the open source and enable any energy chain or power chain participant to start their journey with greater transparency and disclosure, with lower risk and greater impact. The only way we all get there is together. Now, some will be faster and sooner than others, but everyone has to get there. And so the hard data, the methodology support, and the transparency in the community are the ways that we think we're making it happen.
Decarbonisation as a service is a bold concept. How do you see it changing the way that enterprises compete in a low carbon future?
So first, we depoliticize it. We take it out of philosophy and philanthropy. And in some ways, we take it out of climate, ESG, and sustainability. We honor it and we respect it, but we then move into risk, competitive differentiation, and financial impact. We start by saying 2 big things for 1 massive thing. The 2 big things are this. Let's have enough data with enough trust to make emissions an operating variable at the asset level. Pressure, temperature, level, flow, presence, proximity, those are all physical measurands. They're core to process control and batch control systems. Let's add emissions. 20 years ago, acoustic monitoring wasn't a thing. But now acoustic monitoring is a standard tool for monitoring the health and wellness of high-speed rotary equipment. 55 years ago when I was born, you couldn't have conceived of an acoustic monitor being used to measure essentially concavity in high-speed rotary equipment. Now it's de rigueur. Number 1, first big thing, make it an operating variable. The second big thing, make emissions intensity a standard product specification. There was a time when sulfur content wasn't a product specification for a barrel of oil. Today, you can't sell without it. So in the future, we think gas products will not be able to maximize their revenue potential without this hard CI score. These 2 big things enable 1 massive thing. Carbon management moves from a cost center in climate, ESG, and sustainability into a profit center, helping to manage risk, differentiate competitively, and ultimately drive income statement and balance sheet impacts, which ultimately will drive share price.
Chris, it's been amazing to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with Context Labs. For more like it, just go to energyconnects.com. I'll see you soon.